Welcome everyone to this Park Preservation Commission meeting of March 11th. We will start with.
Yes, so the meeting minutes, I did not prepare meeting minutes, I was told not to. Yes.
But we were gonna say something.
So then who's supposed to?
Yeah. I guess the conversations between Renee, Tyler, Deputy City Manager, and Councilwoman Karen Alexander.
So if you do that, have it do
Oh, you're
the,
asking them here? If there's something on here?
Yeah,
you know, you've got a record of the meeting. I don't know if you want to always do it that way, but that's a good thing to do. I do that at work. We like
Just
to have a
record it.
record of the meeting. We actually end up with notes, but people
Yeah.
use it to make the notes, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
I
the
would
thing.
say I would encourage maybe a follow-up with either of them as well.
Well, do we know Karen's planning to come tonight?
I haven't heard words, so.
Okay.
You know, just the things I have been trying to research in order to bring the Webster Groves tree up to date. I've relied heavily on those minutes
Yeah,
and being able to click through them. I wouldn't want to have to watch hours and hours of Zoom stuff.
True.
So, and I really do think it's important that we have minutes
I
that
agree.
are a matter of the public record that people can access without necessarily doing Zoom, because that would have been pretty arduous to go through all of that if I had to do it. Yeah.
Well, you know, when we went to that thing with the attorney, where all the people, they actually said that the minutes only need to be decisions. So it's not like it needs to be the conversation.
Conversation.
I consider it.
She said this and he said that. It doesn't need to be that way. It can just be,
Yeah.
it can just be here, like they decided to approve this one, and what old business was whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe what I'll do is I'll start I'll email them and just CC the two of you
Okay, that's
and
fine.
kind of, so we get some clarity.
Yeah, so we know
So-
exactly what to do.
Exactly.
Because that is
I wanna
true.
Make sure I'm listening, what I'm being told to do. And then also everything that needs to get done is getting done. So-
Yeah, because like things like planning commission, obviously they need to have minutes.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, if we're having public hearings and such, we need to have,
Yeah,
Minutes
there's a
are
requirement
required.
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're commission, so that's a status that I think we need to have.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's more of the responsibility part, but I'll let me email about it and we'll follow that way and have a conversation. I was hoping the conversation would be already had offline, so that way.
And that's,
It's not on me, but I'm just doing what I'm told, so let me,
yeah.
after this meeting. we'll-
I think
we'll
they
sort it
might
out.
want to consult the city attorney on
Yeah,
that
that's what I
too.
was, because
I mean,
we
that's-
were told in that thing that you don't have to have complicated minutes, but you're
Right, yeah.
supposed to have the decisions.
Yeah, or like, you know, a task, like this person will do this. And,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, like, you know, Carol will follow up on
Yeah, I
updating
don't
the library
disagree.
tree,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
Something, yeah.
okay.
Because
Okay.
some of the groups didn't, as I recall, some groups didn't take minutes. So you're supposed to have something.
Yeah, so we'll just have to
Okay,
follow up with that after.
so no minutes.
I'm sorry about that, strike that, guys.
So go on then. I assume no public hearings and there appear to be two guests.
Yeah, so these are actually the two people
For the
these
demolitions,
properties, yeah.
okay.
Actually, they're just both for one property, actually.
Okay, for this last one.
Yeah.
All right, well, we will start with 508 North Elm Avenue. This one, 1945 house.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find too much for this property. I mean, just two bedroom, 5 room, 700. It is the one big thing that I was able to note is that it is right beside the property. It's another Onder property and it's right beside the one that we had on Elm last time. So I think he's just.
And it is
clearing that
also the
area.
one next to that one that's on the corner that's already torn down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was torn down
So,
earlier this year
these-
or last year.
As
Wait,
with
between two?
No, there was
Oh,
three
oh.
houses
It's
along
got
that
two
part
on
of
one
Elm.
side.
Yeah, one of them's already been torn down and 506 was approved. Well, I think last time or the time
I think so,
before.
yeah.
and this-
So it's very clear that he's obviously just clearing that space out. or something.
Well, that's why in the things that I sent out,
Yeah, I was gonna say, he also
I had that aerial map showing all the property that Onder owns.
Oh, you did do a map like that? I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
that.
it's. Yeah, so everything that's in that light blue, that's all property in the Northwestern area that Onder owns.
Yeah, I do know that we are in the process of scheduling a meeting with him, myself and, oh, also just a kind of word update is we do have a director now for the department. But anyways, his name's Elliot Leibson. Elliot and I are in the process of scheduling a meeting with him about the Brentwood, all the Brentwood properties that have been demolished and what he wants to do with that space. He is initiating the meeting, not us, but, yeah, clearly he's.
Yeah, this map doesn't even include that area. This
Yeah.
is just sort of the, the old Northwestern area along Elm and Kirkham. And
Yes, I've gotta wonder, what's his plan for this,
Yeah, so I know these up at the top on Euclid, I mean, just driving by there, and I looked them up on Google, but they've been vacant for several years.
Oh,
Yeah. Houses demolished, and they've been, it's probably 5 years or so that they've been vacant.
yeah, it's clearly.
I've always noticed that when I drive to all these. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he clearly is doing something, he's willing to be patient about it as well.
and also the properties across on this little part of Newport. Along the south side there, those have also been vacant for a number of years. Just, I noticed just driving through there, I've always noticed that those lots have been vacant.
Yeah, well.
well, back to this
Opinions aside,
property,
so on this property, yeah, I mean, in terms of the history, I wasn't able really to find anything, I mean, much like the last one, it's just.
right, it's not really
It's just a
very.
small, and I do have a picture of it on here, so let me show you this shit. Yeah, so it's just, this is the one we had last time, this is 508 right here. I mean, it's also been unchanged on the outside, it's this kind of a square. And, where the property. I do notice that they have a rear part.
I think that's enters in on Fox Place at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's new. Cool areas back here, but
Yeah, that's that number 11 right there. I think that's his property. That was an odd shape.
Does anybody have anything, do you see anything here that you felt like?
Really?
No, no. Okay, all right, well then I think that we could have a motion for this one.
I move we approve the request to demolish the property at 508 North Elm Avenue.
Second. Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Figuring none. The demolition request for 508 North Elm is approved. Moving on.
I just wanted to point out one thing for Joel. When under the cultural research, you have the walking tour. That part of Elm is on the Northwestern walking tour.
oh, okay, so I
Yeah.
missed it. What?
Yeah, like the Zion Church across the street is on the walking tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's the Northwestern, it's number 8.
Okay. All right, well, so did you say about 55? So I don't want to double down.
Oh, no, yeah, I did. I just did 335. Oh, well, that's okay. 335 South Side.
Yeah, okay, so the 335
Sorry,
south side,
yes.
we do have 2 guests. I will allow them to talk here a second, but just in terms of what I was able to find, I mean, it has passed its occupancy. I didn't talk about that with the last one. The last one did fail. But this one did pass an occupancy. She recently purchased the property and wants to demolish it. She would like to build the house. I included the plans that she submitted and the pictures and stuff, just so you guys could have it. I know it doesn't necessarily determine how you vote, but, you know, it's, like I said, we want to look at it. But yeah, so and then he also did, a report on them as well. I mean,
Yeah, there was
but it wasn't too much on his
It
report
just
as well.
built along with two other homes around the same time, the same contractor built them.
So, Nathan or Pamela, do you, either of you guys would like to talk?
Hello,
There you go.
can you hear me?
There you
Hello?
go. Yes. Hello.
Yes,
My name's Nathan Rao. I'm the architect for the proposed home for that property. And I was just listening in. I don't really have anything to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you all may have them about the project.
Do you have anything you want to say, Pamela?
I'm just listening in as well. I just, I'm excited about our project and, I think, I would ask that you would, decide to let us demolish it so we could move forward with that and, hopefully, make an improvement to that spot of Webster.
Thank you. So yeah, this, now with the build, it does still have to go to ARB, it still has to go to, she's working on, I think they just got approval on the, not too long ago on their tree preservation plan, so there's still really obviously early in the process, but, so it's likely that some of this could change, as you could speak to. So, but at least you have kind of what they're hoping to do, so. But yeah, okay.
Anyone see anything historic?
I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
anybody? Nothing? Okay, all right, well, I think then a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the demolition request for 335 at Southside Avenue.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? All right, no one. So the demolition for 335 Southside Avenue is approved. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
attending.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you in the next phase. So there's we had two things that were added to the agenda. So I'll let them speak on it.
It was me.
Okay, perfect. And then I also had one other thing that I'd like to talk about, but let you go first.
Well, I'll be pretty brief. I went to the last Historical Society quarterly meeting and I brought up a little bit of what we do as a board and everything, but I was wondering if you all would think it might be a good idea to submit an article about what we do and some of the things we've accomplished in the last few years, like with the Lustron homes and the Bethany Church and things like that. Just submit an article to the Webster Groves Historical Quarterly, and I'd be willing to write it. I do have a degree in writing and that's my background. So I'd be willing to write it and submit it for everybody's review before I submit it. And I also have to ask them if it's something that they would be interested in. I haven't done that yet. I wanted to talk to us about it.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, I do too. And I know there is a position actually that's supposed to be a liaison between the Historical Society and the HPC. And it's a position that the mayor appoints, but we had not we hadn't had anyone who was willing to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that. So,
Yeah, I think that would be
I can
great.
follow
'Cause-
up with that.
Yeah, I
That'd be
think
great.
Mayor
Find out.
Arnold
So I thought the
did.
same thing when she said.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a good idea too, because I didn't get to that meeting, but I did hear that the societies, they want the Ostosans or whatever to have some project or something that we're contributing. So I thought that would be, there's some concrete, look what we're doing, that we're not just sitting back there.
they had done a presentation on their research area And so I brought up that we use Joe and they said, oh, well, you're covered then because we use Joe too. So, and then they seemed very interested in what we were doing, so. All right, well, I'll go to the board of the Historical Society and see if they would approve an article like that.
And I'll make sure to send an email kind of coordinating to look at being liaison.
Okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Sue, because I know seemed like for a while there was some frustration that they really wanted to have somebody, so that's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
The second thing I was gonna bring up is I've been seeing a lot on Facebook about this Webster Groves Community Land Trust, and I know hardly anything about it. Hillary said that she's sort of involved. And I was just wondering, is that gonna affect what we do, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it.
Well, there was a presentation at the last city council meeting. There was a graph, I think I
Yeah,
sent it
so
to you, that
the-
showed like what they paid for houses, what they spent to build a new house, and how much the house sold for
Yeah.
the last several years.
So the presentation, I don't know that it was a part of, the presentation was done by Sam Dobson, who's an MPPA student at UMSL right now. She's been interning with our department, and so when she had first started, she had, I guess, had done some like review or work or something in related to basically that house. Oh, I'm blanking on what it is. It's the one, they have a bunch of single family houses, and then there's like there's like, small little houses in it.
Oh, that huge
one.
house,
That
yeah.
huge house, it's right over.
It's like on
over right
College
there.
Street or
Yeah.
Hillside.
Yeah,
or
it's
one
like,
of those.
it's like a castle,
Yeah.
basically looking thing. Anyway, so that sparked her interest to do this, and so she's been learning about demolitions and kind of that process change of, small houses. And I know particularly that small houses that are getting some of which are positive, some of which are, not to say they're negative, but some of which
They
are like,
are.
oh, I am employed by the city and I'd like to remain such. But that are changing the landscape of some of our areas. And just, and so the affordability part of it as well for our city. And so, she did a report and it's gonna be part of her, I think, capstone as well. But I know she'd love to talk to anybody who wants to hear, so I could definitely invite her to come talk at the.
I think that sounds good, because then we can get an
Yeah.
overview of what's going on and maybe develop any questions we have for follow-up about how it might affect us, our work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was she involved with the land,
Thing.
with this land trust thing? Oh,
no, that's the part where I don't know. I don't know that connection, but it might have been just like that.
I think they just posted it on there. They've got a
Okay,
Facebook.
yeah, because
They
that
have a
makes more
Facebook
sense, yeah.
page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it too.
I don't even
Yeah.
know what it is.
Well,
What is it?
I can tell a little bit
Go
about
Yeah,
what it
Hillary.
is. I mean, the idea is that, and I may have something wrong, I've only been to one meeting. The idea is that to help keep housing affordable, the land trust will own the land, while the homeowner will own the home on the land. And that apparently helps keep prices from continually escalating, because the value is in the land, not necessarily the home. And it involves a little bit of, like Habitat for Humanity, where, it's not, goes to any family, they're judged on income and things like that. And so the land trust own, and then at this point, it's still really in the nascent stage.
Would there'll be any like requirements that would travel with the land as far as what could be built there as part of the land trust?
Yes, and a lot of that's still TBD.
Yeah.
So how do they pay for the land then? Are these people, do they pay rent off their land? Do they have a lease or?
If they will own the house. Now, I think the land trust remains the owner of the land.
Right.
And how that financial relationship goes on, I don't know yet.
I think that from my work with the Nature Conservancy and then also at Ferguson, it really kind of runs the gamut, I think. I know that like with land banks and land trusts, it really kind of varies from each kind of entity to each. But I would imagine that it's probably that they buy the land and not like they buy it from somebody, but they maybe buy it from somebody. Yeah, well, I meant like in terms of the person currently living there, And then any new people coming in, they'll just sell them the house and maybe at a discounted price. So they're getting a cheaper price to buy it. But again, I don't know. I have not been involved with it at all. So, but I imagine it probably works something like that. It's a little bit cheaper since they're not buying the land, they're buying the house. For any new people, I don't know about people who already purchased the house.
Yeah, I know that they are working, I'm speaking of a presentation, they are working up a presentation to take out to the masses, so
Yeah.
maybe another one of these meetings in a month or two, we can invite
So-
them to come.
So is it a nonprofit organization that's doing this?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know that they have their 501c3 yet, but again, it's very early.
There was a woman who came by the library, she was just, printing off stuff, and I was working at the desk and, handing her the print job, and, oh, what's this? And she explained, yeah, it was actually a presentation that she was putting together for this Webster Groves Land Trust, and she said it's brand new. They're just getting started, and, and we'll be kind of going out into the community to, promote it and.
So do we know yet how those meetings are going to be publicized, or as far as the meetings for informing the public?
Right now, I think what they're trying to do is like a speakers bureau thing, so you invite them and they'll come speak to your group.
Yeah, because I would be really interested to know more. Maybe we can have somebody come talk to us as well.
Seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
Kind of
and I know the mayor's involved, Laura's involved. so-
Yeah, I remember
and-
she mentioned that during her campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can find you go to their Instagram, find their Instagram or their Facebook page.
Yeah, Webster Groves Community
Land
Land
Trust,
Trust.
CLT.
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, what connection do they have to historical properties?
That's what we're trying to find
Yeah.
out.
Okay, good, okay,
Yeah,
'cause
we
I don't have the connection yet.
Yeah.
Well, we don't either, but
Yeah.
But, and also too, if this is just something they're developing the parameters of, we
Right.
might want to be able to be informed early in case we had any concerns or could see some potential advantages that we might want to work in if they're just now defining the parameters and getting input on the, what exactly they're going to do.
And then there's also a matter of the traditional large landowner with the buildings, and the person simply has a lease and they decide, we don't want your building here anymore, you're done. You own, you can take it somewhere if you want, but otherwise
Yeah.
you don't have a piece of property for it, so.
complicated.
Yeah.
That is true.
Cause that happens,
That
in
does
other
happen,
parts of the
yeah.
country, not
Yeah.
necessarily in Webster Groves, but other places, so.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want it to be that they could then sell all the property or something, there has to be some.
It
And much
almost-
more than
yeah.
a 50-year lease thing, people do that where, and they think, oh, that's forever, that's a very short time.
Yeah,
So,
it comes around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially when we're talking about 100-year-old houses.
Right.
Right.
yeah,
So.
that's kind of where, that was my comment.
Exactly, yeah, so that, I guess I was thinking exactly where
Yeah.
you were like, well. What are they buying the property under,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, yeah, it would be good to know more about it.
Yeah.
Not even do anything, but just to know, yeah.
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 But the thing here on their website or their Facebook page says, they've been able to show that when a home is demolished, the new construction is 2.5 times larger in size on average with a 4-time higher sales price. The goal of the Community Land Trust is to create some refuge from market forces to preserve the supply of smaller homes.
Well, maybe they would have some parameters that travel with the land about how big house could be, which would be wonderful.
That'd be great, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great.
So they
If
buy the
decided
property
to do it that way,
And
because they are
just
taking,
sell the house
Correct.
with the idea to preserve affordable housing. So
Affordable
instead of Demoing, so like what we see all the time, they would just sell affordable house to somebody.
Or if they sell if somebody uses the land and they get it for a reduced price or whatever, then they would have to agree to the restrictions about the size of the house.
Right, they,
Yeah.
avoiding McMansions,
Yeah.
like has happened in Kirkwood a lot, yeah.
But the idea, of whatever they do, is 4 times the price.
Right.
yeah, it seems like it could go very well.
It's definitely aligned with some of the value.
Yeah, but,
Undertaking.
well, Karen, you're involved, we're talking about Community Land Trust.
What's the question?
We're just trying to.
We don't know much about it. We're just wondering if,
Information, they're just.
yeah, if it'll affect our goings on in any way.
You know, basically, ideally, it's to get some obtainable options for people. You know, and so it may be either if we can get vacant land, then looking for build options where it may be either, you know, on-site build or off-site build, whichever is, you know, we're looking at the cost for those. Or if we can find existing homes that we're able to get and renovate. The idea behind them is to, with a community land trust, the land stays with the trust. And that helps to minimize the cost of the household. You know, like 25% of a piece of real estate is in the land. And so that's one of the things that helps to keep that price down, so that just looking at options where we could create more obtainable options for people. Now, it wouldn't be an impact on existing properties because it isn't in any one place. It's where there's opportunities to acquire the property and the land. And the thing that we are really committed to doing is trying to build in alignment with the character of the neighborhoods.
And not build a gigantic house.
Oh, no, God.
No.
See that thing that they're building? So I live.
That is ugly too.
Have you
by the
seen
way.
that?
It's just
Oh,
ridiculous. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's
Is that the one you
800
live
It's
near?
gigantic.
Yeah, I'm at 826. It's
Okay.
at 18, and I think 810. So it might be, I think, because it's two lots.
Mhm.
So now it's and basically now, and I was living, because I actually sold them 20 feet off of my lot, because my lot is 100 feet, and that lot was 100 feet, the existing. And so after a lot of letting the city planner know what I thought, because she sent them to me, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But then I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have to give me an offer I can't refuse. You know, and then so I sold them 20 feet off of my lot, so there's two 60-foot lots. Started out with, you know, well, we like to keep it in the 1,800 square foot range, you know, because right now, because that's what my concern all along was. And so it went from 18 to 2 to 22. This thing is 2,500 square feet. It's huge.
Well, they have to build within the parameters of the.
Well, so, and that's why we are talking about on city council visiting the ordinance, because this fixed area ratio is
Well, people.
it's like they go in and they build the biggest thing that they can, the maximum they can on those lots. Whereas, you know, our thought is that this needs to be have some restrictions based upon what's already existing in the neighborhoods. And then we're actually looking now, because we're going into budget season, but looking at what we can do to even look at de-incentivizing, is that the word?
It is.
The builders by adding a fee for the larger square footage that they're going in there to build. You know, because, so for first of all, looking at it first to see if we can get off of this fixed area ratio thing and something more in alignment with at least maybe the average square footage of the existing homes in the area. And then with the, you know.
So it needs to be the existing homes in the area
Uh-huh.
that were built.
Yes.
10 plus years.
Absolutely.
Or something like that.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
They're just gonna count
they
this
just start going up
monstrosity
and up
in
to
there.
make sure they can get it up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in some ways, you have to always remember, what I always say is, it's actually the builder's job
Mhm.
to maximize
Mhm.
that situation. That is their job.
That's their
right?
job, and they're
So-
trying to make a profit.
That's
And
what they're
generally, like this guy, he's a nice guy, you know, but he has investors.
Yeah.
You know, so
they
they're
would
trying to
be like,
maximize their return.
Yes, they would say,
Period.
what are you doing? Why don't you build this tiny house?
Right,
I'm not giving you any more money.
right,
So
Right.
that's his job.
Right.
That there have to be restrictions
Mhm.
or
or costs
They're not gonna do it.
associated with it going to, so in trying
Well,
to
the cost-
de-incentivize them.
have to be darn high. for
Yeah,
it to be
yeah,
worthwhile.
it's, so yeah, the idea is that the community land trust, two primary, objectives is to try to stay in alignment with the character of the neighborhoods and keeping something that's obtainable for people. You know, because again, the people that are coming in and building these big houses are not people that live there and want to come back or stay. They're builders from outside that have no vested interest in the property. Their only interest is profit, you know, and then it's you know, folks that want to move into Webster, you know, and then one of the things we had the presentation at City Council last week.
Yes.
Y'all got me on my soapbox. Because the presentation last week, and you know, she talked about the tear downs and the rebuild, what they're being replaced with, and they're like 3 and 4 times the size of what's being torn down.
I think she pointed out your the house that you're talking about over there.
And she's like, well, so most of it's going on north, and she had the little dots on there. Well, you know, it's in North Webster and South Webster. And so I said, but what we need to recognize is the reason it's not in Middle Webster is because of the cost of the land there. They're going where the lots are the least expensive and the houses are the smallest, because they can get in there and get those for less of a cost, and then go in there, and as your numbers show, you know, the cost of construction is 3 times the cost of the value of the house, and then then they turn around and sell it for 4 or 5 times as much. It's just.
You know, Karen, so many of us wholeheartedly agree. Something that I think is also crucial, besides just limiting the floor area ratio, because they can just stack things up and up and up, is to limit the site coverage. Because like where I live, there's a lot of historically smaller houses and we have yards.
Right.
But then they come in and build these $1.5 million houses, and there is like no yard. So there's like, there may be setbacks, but there's no like natural buffer of a smaller house on a plot of land, because, you know, your small house is right here and somebody builds this like 5 feet from the property line because they can.
And that's exactly what's going on there, because it's like, so for example, my lot, you know, is 17,000 square feet. My house is 975 square feet, you know, so because it was part of a farm that the lady had and what have you. So even with selling 20 feet off of it, I still have an 80-foot front and I'm 170 feet deep. So it's a huge lot.
Compared to the size of your house.
Compared to the size of my house,
Yeah.
you know, but the little house that's on the opposite side, so I'm on the north side of this thing. The house that is on the south side is even smaller than mine. You know, it's probably, I guess the Massey's house might be 800 square feet. And this thing.
Yeah, I'm living it personally.
Yeah, she lives
next-
right next door. to
Right
mine, too.
next door to one. I have a wonderful 1922 cottage, and there is an enormous vinyl sided dark gray thing that just towers over my house. I can't even get the sunlight through
Right.
anymore. But when the smaller houses were on those size lots, we had air and ventilation
Right.
and views and sunshine.
Right.
So I really think that as the council is visiting these things, besides just the floor area ratio, they need to visit the site coverage.
Okay.
And there's another item that I'll talk with you about outside of the meeting, but it involves zoning regulations that the higher you go, you're required to step the building in, or the higher you go. So that they can still max out the lot, but they have to max out in a different shape that preserves light and air to the surrounding smaller neighbors.
Okay.
So they do that in some areas of Clayton, and I'll be happy to look it up, and maybe you and I can
Okay.
get together and
Yeah.
talk about it. So we
Okay.
have-
I was a permit technician for the city of Clayton's building department for a few years, and they had that same problem. And they addressed it
Excuse me, I had
with
to-
impervious coverage restrictions, the site coverage, to try to, because they were having people, with building the big homes, they were having flooding issues because the ground isn't absorbing absorbing the water.
Mhm.
And so they addressed it with changing their building codes to have, certain impervious coverage restrictions. And yeah, you might want to talk to the building department in Clayton, because they went through this. I was there, I left in 2019, so 5-6 years ago, whatever, they were dealing with that issue.
Because I know that I have heard, with some of these things or some of the plans that come through and just a lot of the conversation about the runoff. And making sure that that is addressed, because like with this thing, they had to put one of those,
water retention
a
areas.
water retention basin in the back of the house, because that's a hill. And so with all of that, that runoff was gonna go straight down there and then there's a house on the other side of that, that's on Thornton, and so they had to put a water retention basin back there. And so, the guy's just crying. I'm like, why?
Right. Don't build such a big house.
That feels like a big house. You wouldn't have that problem, but so anyway, yeah.
Are
But
there-
so, yeah, the idea around the community land trust is to try to not only, be very much in, alignment with the existing homes, but keeping something that the average person can afford to buy.
On a land trust, as property values go up, because the land does hold value, but the house is going to increase in value too
Right.
over time. How do they manage that?
Well, so we have to agree up on a resale value. So because we want the owners to be able to participate in the appreciation or any improvements that they may do with the property. Now, ideally, when they move in, it is going to be in pretty good shape, because we would have either just renovated it or just built it. But there is a resale value formula and that's one of the things that we're doing, is looking at the community land trusts and like neighborhoods or like towns and cities around to see how they came up with their resale value.
I guess conversely, like if they don't do maintenance and the property does fall apart and loses value over time, how does that?
Well, there is a they have to put so much into an account. So much of their payment on a monthly basis goes into an account for maintenance for the property.
Like a maintenance escrow that's required.
And the
A
land
maintenance
trust.
escrow is mhm.
So the land trust then takes care of maintenance.
So that when they leave,
Oh,
so when they sell, they don't get to take that money with them. The sole purpose of that money that's going into that account for that property is to help with any maintenance that's required.
So that would basically be their lease or whatever, their rent of the property. In more of a traditional sense, if somebody owned a bunch of property and then they let people build on it. And other people own those buildings, they typically lease the land from those people. So that's, in a sense, they are giving that little bit of money to say, okay, well, the land, obviously, you gotta do something with it.
Yeah.
And we have to, that keeps that trust going, I guess,
Mhm.
that's how you keep it going.
Mhm.
Because then they leave and that, they don't sell the land, they only get, the next person doesn't buy the land, right?
Right.
The trust continues to hold
Yes.
the land
Yes,
indefinitely.
yes. Well, and the
For all
thing is,
practical
it's just like a condo. You don't own land on a condo.
Right.
You only own, you are basically paying for access to the building. You know, when you look at a condo, you only are buying airspace, studs in.
Well,
You know,
the condo owns the land.
the condo owns the land. You pay a condo fee to help with the maintenance of the land, then you have taxes that you have to pay, you know, so it's almost similar to buying a condo or even I remember the first time I became aware of zero lot line properties in Texas. Not Texas, in Tennessee. And they're huge in Tennessee. You know, but it's like, they look like row houses, but they're single family detached.
Yeah.
But they don't own, they have fee simple ownership, but there's like no land, there's zero lot lines. You've got like whatever the zoning is, 6 feet on both sides of a lot line, and that's it, but they don't own the land. They don't own any land. They basically just own the building. But so it's not, much unlike buying a condo. You don't own the land on a condo. You're buying the property, and you're actually buying studs in on the property. So it's kind of similar to that.
Well, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but I like the idea of land trusts. They're very similar to land banks, which is something that is also taking place right now. But the last thing I have, I guess, is just me. I did talk to Andre, and I just wanted to bring this up that I sent him one. We're submitting the letter for the council to like kind of outlining the budget thing. I was told by Deputy City Manager Renee Tyler that there is not a max budget amount that we can request, but 1,200.
Yeah,
Yeah, 1,200
typically it's like
yeah,
1,000 to 1,200 max.
Yeah, so let's stick with that. That's probably a good move. And then I also sent the letter to Mr. Onder and Mr. Keeney. Mr. Keeney is the kind of the contractor that Onder works with. He sent an email back and he said he spoke with Onder for future, I'm just gonna read it at this point. Spoke with Onder for the future Brentwood project. He stated that he would match the cost of the commemorative plaque and make a donation with 3185 South Brentwood findings. And that's a sentence he said, so.
They also called me, someone from his office.
Oh, yeah, that's
called me.
right. I think I spoke to
And said that they would be happy to. They also said that the information was fascinating. So, and they didn't even get that much information. We have so much. But so, yeah, so that was very nice. They seemed to be very appreciative. I felt it seemed good for us to kind of go through this and see what we can do. They said that the development, because I had to ask if there was going to be a public space or what, you know, what are you looking at? Because she also said we should develop the wording and so forth, or whatever it is. They're kind of like, we'll do it, whatever you people come up with. So we will need to do that too. But she said it's probably going to be some sort of commercial on the bottom with residential above situation. So really, we need to know probably more about exactly what we're going to do. So,
yeah, and so I had that meeting.
how does it fit in?
But it hasn't been scheduled yet, so.
Yeah, so when we find out more. I also called him about the
Ozark
Theater, the
Oh,
Ozark
yeah.
Theater. And he talked to him a little bit about that, and that seems very early planning
Right.
from what he said. But he's very interested in, you know, keeping it a theater and all these things. So he's he was great to talk to, like I said, and very open. He's really looking into what he's gonna do exactly. And, you know, I just felt like, go. I realize you gotta have some sort of, what he needs is support of it, right? It has to produce a little bit of income, so if you like.
Right.
Is this Anna you're talking to?
Yeah, so that all seemed good. It's very positive about it, so, you know, hopefully all these properties.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
it's all a positive thing, yeah, like he seems to want to help the community, so.
Well, and the way that I see it too is because of all the properties that he owns, he has a vested interest
Yeah,
in
What they're doing.
you don't want it to go downhill.
right, and keeping it valuable and having goodwill with the community and what have you, because I mean, he's got a lot to lose with
Yeah.
what he's got.
Yeah, especially with a lot of it empty.
Yeah.
Just want to fight with everybody on that. And well, he doesn't have a personality at all. Like,
It-
It's very cooperative,
approachable,
so
and,
that's, I
yeah.
mean, he's an attorney.
Right, exactly.
I think in those,
Surprising.
on that map, the lots along Euclid, well, there were more lots on the other side of Plateau, which is in Rock Hill.
Mhm.
But he also, and they're building a house on one of those
Mhm.
that are being developed. So I don't know if that's gonna start working its way into Webster too, but because they're big lots, I mean, they're huge and they've been vacant for quite a while.
Because very well they could subdivide and consolidate. So.
Well, and I think that issues with the builder is what slowed down the ones on Euclid.
Okay.
On this,
Yeah.
on the Webster side, because I know that there were some plans, and I know it came to Plan Commission when I was the liaison for Plan Commission, after I was the liaison here my first 2 years, my second 2 years, I was on Plan Commission. And they bought their proposed plan through there for Euclid at that time, and I think that for some whatever reason, I don't know, but they're the builder.
Is that that group of houses?
It's vacant now. It's the
But I mean,
land's
that they're gonna
vacant.
build.
Oh, yeah, on
That's
Euclid.
what I
That's
thought,
right,
yeah.
at Euclid and Am.
Yeah.
Mhm. And it's a group of houses. I think there were six. Yeah, there were six, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Mhm. Because when we first looked at them, we were looking at row houses. You know, and then, you know, I mean, there was some pushback on row houses, but then there was a lot of acceptance of it too, because again, there are people that looking again at, so what's the new word, obtainable?
Yeah, that's.
That's the word, that's the.
Because they're down on the lingo, like.
It used to be affordable, now it's attainable.
Yeah, that has less of a negative connotation, because affordable, people automatically start off thinking, you know, low to moderate income in Section 8. I mean, there's nothing low to moderate income about a $500,000 house.
Not with my bank account.
And so, but yeah, nationwide, the new proper term is obtainable. So,
It's also like the primary bedroom, you don't have a master
I never
bedroom.
really noticed it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, yeah.
I know,
The thing I
right?
think about it is, a lot of us have kids that would like to live somewhere near us. And when they're just starting out, there's no way they can
There's
do
no
that,
way to
cause,
do it.
yeah, there's no houses they can afford.
no.
My daughter ended up buying a house in Afton,
Mhm.
and my son's looking now, I think, in, around Richmond Heights, which is kind of pricey too.
Yeah.
Depends on if you're in the Clayton side of the.
Yeah.
United School District.
Yeah.
Katie got to Crestwood and Joyce was.
Yeah, I mean, our kids can't afford to live here, and that's not good.
And the other thing is even seniors, I mean, I just lucked out with that little house, you know, because I was able to get it from my Sunday school teacher. You know? But, you know, seniors that have lived in the community, they can't, and the kids,
Downsize.
they can't downsize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a guy I'm working with right now who his son and their family are looking for a house and they can't afford to buy in Webster. And so he is like, we're working on trying to figure out what we need to do so he can lop off the back part of his lot, which he's on a corner lot, so it'd be like in line with others, but he's gonna have a size, but he's like, I have this huge lot. And he's like, you know what, that's all I got to be able to provide any type of housing that's still in the area, but I don't know if it's gonna work, so. Carol's like, oh, no, but yeah, we were literally looking at the dimensions of like how with the size of lot that's required and all the setbacks and stuff, could he put a house there? But yeah, I mean, it's like, he's having the same conversation, he's like, what, they can't afford to buy a house because interest rates are insane, and definitely can in Webster. It's like,
That's
what we
so
need
funny to me
ADUs.
that interest rates are so
We don't-
insane. It's like I won't even
Oh,
get
yeah,
on
there's
that.
that
It's like, I
too.
mean, you know,
We don't have
It's-
ADUs
it's
in Webster, do we?
have any what?
ADUs, accessory dwelling
Oh,
units.
that's what I'm
We
saying.
do
That's
have
why we are
some.
looking
Oh,
different
don't do that.
things.
Cause that would be great.
I know some of the plan commission has.
You're saying don't do
it.
accessory housing, is that?
That is all, that, so I lived in Hawaii for 16
Okay.
years.
It's gonna be a heated,
And that is all over the place. So what you
I'm
have
sure it is.
is a
Well,
bunch
they
of
build
people.
like on top of each other, don't they?
You have a house, normal family house, and then you have the garage that converted into an apartment. And so then you've got every Yahoo you might want coming and going every minute of the day. And so then they take the big house and they rent that one out too to two families, because why would I want to live with these people that I rented it to? So then, you know, your next door neighbor turns into this kind of, so having a lot of, it's better to have a small house that someone can call their own.
Uh-huh.
Not
Yeah.
your back, who wants to live in someone's backyard? Not a great number of people, and you're not gonna really get great renters there, right?
Like,
Well,
so people
Yeah,
are
do
long
some
term.
places not, because I know when we were looking at them, they were indicating that part of the ordinance would be that it had to be a relative.
Yeah,
They
like-
had to be related.
For
That's how it
seniors or something like, yeah.
In Hawaii, they refer to it as an ohana,
There you go.
Sounds nice.
and it sounds nice. And then it's illegally rented to
Said it's my
whatever
fifth
Yahoo
husband,
they
30
want.
times.
So, and most communities that have done the thing of starting accessory dwellings, like in Chicago and different places, they've actually turned it around. They were like, no, this did not work at all. So I would not recommend it in any way whatsoever.
ADUs, Barry?
Ex-
I mean, ADUs, you wouldn't recommend?
Well, I don't know, just the whole
Accessory.
accessory dwelling.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
accessory.
So
dwelling.
no, I mean, places have turned it around. They've said, no, we don't want it anymore. It ruined our, it's ruining things. We're getting these people who don't care anything about our neighborhood because they just couldn't find any other cheap garage to live in. And so, and people literally do that, it's nice thought that everybody's gonna make a very pleasant situation, but that's not what people do. Just like the builders, they come in, they max out that property, because that's good and make them money. They don't care.
It's like builders.
Yeah, they don't care. So people literally would live in a garage. And because that's the situation. Have the things in there and it's
Because
just,
it's
I mean,
better than
that's
living
not,
on the street.
well, it is.
Mhm.
But in the world of, it would be better if we didn't demolish these little
I
houses.
don't know. Right, I mean, that's right.
And someone could buy it. They look perfectly fine on the inside.
Exactly.
Let someone who wants to use it buy it and
I
live
mean, I
there.
just like every time I see one of these and I look at the agenda, I'm just like,
So I think that's what we're doing, these are.
I was gonna say, that's what I just,
Well,
it
we
just-
can't, legally, we
No,
can't object just because we have a difference of opinion.
Because people, and that, I remember having that conversation when I first got on city council, and I was talking to Steve Wiley, and I was just, what could you do about that? And he and Neil, and it was like, people have property rights. You can't, when they own the property, you cannot tell them that they can't tear it down. I mean, just like people think just because they get a historical designation, all that does is delay it. You cannot prevent someone from tearing the property down if that's what they want to do, and so,
It's kind of
but
a
then on the
vicious
other
circle.
hand, you'll tell me that my driveway has to be.
So zoning can do that. So you are in a position to do that. Like the city council can say, no, we don't want those great big houses here. So these lots
And that's
cannot
what-
have those
right.
great big houses.
And that's
They're
what
too
we're,
small.
and that's where we're going with this, because, and even having to go back around, because during my first term, we had all of that pushback because we were trying to extend the zoning for multifamily homes. And people took, and we weren't talking about building apartment complexes. We were talking about building row houses or building townhomes, doing something so that the homes were more affordable for people. And so, but the whole pushback, oh my God, it was like they were sending the nastiest, most, ignorant stuff back that, we're trying to turn this into North County. We're trying to create Section 8. We're trying, whereas the thing is, we're trying to create options in housing that are affordable for people, you know, and I mean, a lot of the children, but a lot of the younger folks don't want all that yard work.
But that's true too.
You know, they want a house.
And then seniors don't either.
And seniors don't either. Seniors get tired of the yard work. Young folks don't want the yard work. They don't want to be married to the houses and the yards like, you know, their parents or like our parents were. I pay somebody to do mine. I don't want to do it either, you know, but that's what we were looking at was trying to increase the housing stock, the type of housing without, I mean, you got two, like that was this next door to me, that was 200-foot lots. You could put 3, 4, and if you did them, you know, you could put 4 townhouses or 3 houses.
Well, that fits with the A4 zoning, that
Yeah.
50-foot wide lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so we have to come back around again with it and try to see how we can do it and get the support to do it, because we need an ordinance and something that will assist us in keeping these sizes in check so that they don't destroy the value of the homes that are here, and they create more opportunities for the people that want to stay here and that want to be near their parents and want to be near their grandkids.
Well, you know, people will also often say that if you do certain things, no builders are gonna wanna come to Webster Groves, which. Sounds like a good idea. Come on.
Yeah.
But, and at the same time, though, it will keep, they're under the impression that it's gonna like ruin the value of their house. But it is going to keep the value lower, which is the idea.
Yeah.
So, but to a lot of people, that's a negative thing. Oh, you're gonna keep the value low? I don't want a cheap house. I don't want, kind of like what you're saying, saying who we're gonna have in here. You're gonna have people's children, you know, Webster Groves who live in a bigger house than that or whatever.
Children who in often cases grew up and went to school here and would just like to stay.
That thing of saying like you're gonna ruin the value of the home. No, you're just not going to build it up so ridiculously. So yeah, maybe.
Well,
Did someone say that thing?
the Supreme Court has upheld zoning.
Has what?
The Supreme Court has upheld zoning to be able to stop that. You know, your rights as a property are not 100%. You know, you can't put a pig farm in your neighborhood, right? There's limits on what the city can impose.
Depending on where you live, I was amazed at some places that I travel and they just flat out don't have zoning like that. And you'll have a house and then you got a commercial, or you got a house and then you got a horse ranch, and you got a house and you got pig farm, and you got, you know, and it's kind of like, ew, you know, so I mean, you do want something, but you know.
I used to live in Phoenix, and it's a big sprawling flat area, Phoenix area. And these subdivisions would pop up and pop up and pop up further out, and then you get to the CAFOs, the concentrated animal feeding operations, and the people in these new houses would start to complain about the smell from the
You built next door to it.
They were here first.
Yeah. It's like people complain about the trains.
Right? Yeah.
It's like,
They were there when you bought the
Oh,
house.
that's just like people complaining about the wildlife. I mean, they were here first. You know, I mean,
Right?
I remember we had a lady come in, city councilman, now she was livid with us. I want to know, what are you going to do about these deer? They come in here and they stand there and they look at me like they just have a right to be here. They're not scared of anything. They eat my flowers. What is your plan for the wildlife?
The deer asked the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They were here last.
Maybe your house is on their property.
Maybe your house is on their property. I'm sure they're having.
Rabbits are a different story though.
You
can get rid of the rabbits.
Yeah,
Get some dogs.
Chance for the rabbits, I'm all.
Hardly have any rabbits in my yard.
I'm glad to export chipmunks to you.
I was gonna say, anybody who's bird feeding squirrels.
They eat the roots of your ornamental shrubs, which can get quite pricey.
Yeah, we don't, where they live in a wood pile out back, that's not anything around there.
Well, if it's a nice place, I know somebody who might want to.
What's fun is when the dog sees the chippy in the backyard and goes boom, and the chipmunk hits a tree, it goes up, you know. The dog gets frustrated because she never can catch him.
I just have a quick update if we have a second, about the update of the trees
Oh,
with the
mhm.
plaques.
Mhm.
Jewel found the plaques.
On the plaques, very hefty.
Yes.
Wait.
We've got them and, I have all of the projects listed and the dates of construction, the dates they were designated. So as soon as city council approves the budget, we're good to go on updating the trees.
Good job.
And some other quick mention for a possible future project. In going through and trying to update everything, it seems logical that the city would have on their website someplace a list of our historically designated properties. So I think that would be very important. And also we could potentially put a link to the research that our commission has done in order to get the designation. So that way somebody like Mr. Onder who buys an historic property can go, oh, here's the historic property. Let me look at what was submitted as evidence that this is an historic property. And so they would have all of that research available to them that's already been done. And if they wanted to use that as a leg up for a National Register nomination, it's all right there for them. I mean, we've already done the work. So I think that that would be a very valuable thing and to kind of show the community what we do and here it is.
I
Sorry.
like it.
Well, I mean, to your point, there has that, in order for there to get the historic designations, there's got somebody, there's
All
got.
that is
We do
archived at
that.
the Hawkins House.
Yeah, it is.
It's where, okay, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Everything gets recorded in.
Well, and there's
the
the
other-
library database
districts
on
do
here
that.
that we just don't have the.
Yeah, we
Yeah, the
have,
list.
we have the districts and we
Oh.
have the guidelines for building in the districts, but we don't have a list of city designated landmarks.
And all the
And
different
when we-
buildings.
Yeah, when we,
It's like the theater's not listed anywhere. You wouldn't know if it was a landmark building in Webster or not.
yeah, so, and I mean, like, we just did the Bethany Church in Marvin Court. In order to do those designations, we have to follow the ordinance about what parameters we're following in order to say this is historic. And then we gather the evidence documents that say, okay, here's our evidence that this property is historic. Now, we've got all of that research, but really nobody knows where to get it unless you're, one of us who knows that, well, you have to go online, you have to go through the agendas to find out when it was approved. And then once you find that out, you have to go to the public hearing agenda and you have to click on the link to find the documentation. So I think it should be easier for people. We
So-
should have,
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that on the city's website, maybe under historic preservation or something, that we have a listing online of the properties that Webster Groves has designated as historic. And that we have a link that takes people to the documentation that says, here's your history.
Okay,
Because
so,
the research is already done. I'm just saying, put it where it's available for people.
Because there's actually even some single family homes that are landmarks. So
Yeah, we.
for instance, if you bought one, how, you wouldn't really know that. If no one told you, you couldn't go to the city website and find out.
so that's great.
but-
I'm just saying, how do we get this done? And because I'm thinking of even, because I know how short-staffed they are. I'm not trying to create
Oh.
a thing to then go to city to the city administrator and say, okay, I need one of your people to do this. We have this great idea, so we want you to do this, you know.
And
I'm
if
like-
the Century Homes, everything is at the hearth room, and Steve is this wonderful gentleman that helps us out in this, he works a couple days a week and keeps everything in line with Century
Yeah.
Homes and.
That's what I volunteer with.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We
They might
need
be talking about
somebody
help you
to
make
actually
your-
do that, to
Okay.
aggregate.
Well,
it.
since you just did the plaque thing, you could probably put something together that they could work
Well,
from.
why don't we We could, why don't you come by the library? We can set up a time. Because I'd like to know how, in what form the research is right now.
Yeah. I can kind of show you.
Yeah.
Because like the research we did on the Bethany Church, all those documents, there's in the ordinance that says, okay, the city council is passing an ordinance saying this is an historic property. There's an inventory of the evidence that's in that ordinance. And then at the public hearing, all of that information has been scanned in. And I'm saying that we need to have a way for people to know, just how they can click on that and get all that without having to know to dig through this and dig through that and dig through the other thing. So
There might be an option with how we put our Kate Moody collection online. The Secretary of State's office has a website called Missouri Digital Heritage, where they have hundreds of collections. And so this might be one. So they would actually, it's a hosting service for documents.
So there's the potential that maybe we could just have on Webster's website.
A link that would take them to,
that,
and it would go to
then-
Missouri Digital
and
Heritage
they can-
where they've got, and they can just search by address. And
Perfect. That sounds wonderful,
Yeah.
because that way it would be less work, and then, I know the hosting costs spiral the more
Right.
information you have on there.
Right, and so, I mean, I have a contact with the Secretary of State's office, because we did this Kate Moody collection. And I could contact him perhaps and say, is this something that would qualify?
Okay,
And then it'd just be a matter of uploading the documents. And that's why I want to take a look to see how they're set up.
okay,
And so it'd be a matter of uploading the documents onto this website, and then that makes it searchable. We could just make it searchable by address or something simple. Then that way it's a hosting service for collections like that. I mean, there's hundreds of them, and everything you can imagine is on there. I can't imagine why this wouldn't be eligible for that as well.
okay. Well, yeah, we'll get together and,
Glad you're coming to our meetings.
so, yeah, I think that.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
get
out
together and-
next week, but if you
Okay.
want to like email me tomorrow or something, then we can look for like later in the month or
Okay.
whatever and
Yeah.
get together and talk about it.
And then we'll find out more and then come back to y'all.
That works.
Okay.
I would like to at some point maybe look into hosting one of our meetings at the library so they can kind of go through some of the resources.
Yeah, our
that they have.
meeting room is very busy, and so we have
Yeah, I
to.
also haven't talked to
Yeah.
my direct reports.
Yeah, I mean, there's no,
So-
we don't charge for it, and
Stand in line.
that. But I wanted to have something for the Lions Club. I helped them put together their 100th anniversaries this year, and so they put together a commemorative book. So I helped them scan a bunch of photographs and stuff. And we want to have an exhibit in our art hallway, and even that was booked up like for the year. And I know the meeting room just like we're actually doing a house history presentation with the Historical Society. We're hosting the Missouri Historical Society. Their guy is going to come give a presentation at the library in April, and even finding like a Sunday to do that was challenging. So,
Might be
but as long as we can do it, then,
Using the library.
and we know it's a
Right.
Tuesday, then we can, just pick a
Yeah,
month
yeah.
and, it might be 4 months out or something, but
Right.
then we can select it.
Yeah, so I want to talk to my direct report that I report to about it. Potentially.
It's a great idea.
If you can question.
Yeah, it's a matter of having it on, just putting it on the schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're very
Oh.
awkward conversation.
Yeah, so we need to, so I don't know. So what I've just been informed of is he shouldn't be doing the minutes. So a member of the board should be the one doing the minutes.
So we should have like a secretary.
You should have like a secretary or somebody, that you guys appoint or agree with are going to do the minutes. And voluntold, right, to do the minutes. I know probably Mara did them before, I don't know, but
She was always trying to get us to have, get a person to volunteer to be the secretary. and no one would do it,
Mhm,
so she did it.
I have a
mhm.
question on that. So I've been watching the Zoom meeting. There's a transcript scrolling the entire time.
Yeah.
Is that a document? And at
So
the end?
if you go to the YouTube, you can click on see transcript and it pulls it up beside the video. It doesn't let you download,
Yeah,
but you can copy and paste. Yeah, yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do the video. That's all it is, because that's easy.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, write it down.
We may need to summarize all of
Is he our
this stuff.
secretary? Should we
Yeah,
take?
he
Yeah, I
just
think
We'll
it's-
do the official thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, cause some of, I watched the transcript, cause I've noticed that
Yeah,
they
you
are.
have to read through
Some
it.
of it is really good and some of it turns out wrong and sometimes badly wrong, if you know what I mean.
AI didn't get it, didn't hear it.
Didn't figure it out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it can be like, yeah,
You just have to know. I mean, like, I watched it misspell Onder a couple of times. Well, and so you have to be able to know there's like, you're talking about Onder.
yeah, and well.
He's like, maybe
I-
I should do, yeah. I used to transcribe like, document, like whole lectures and stuff in med school. So I don't mind it, I can't like.
Oh, well, this should be.
Yeah, this is not
Yeah,
that.
this-
Okay, you don't have
Maybe this-
to
It's kind of a weird thing.
all that, like, you don't have to have, she said, he said.
No, I won't.
all that.
No,
It'll be
It's just
summarized, probably bullet
decisions.
points, one page, I
Decisions.
hope.
Mhm.
It not,
That's all right.
you know, it can
It'll
be
bare bones.
voted.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
But you need, to-
it'll
I think
be-
Robert's rules, you
we
need to
talked
say
about-
motion,
Yes.
seconded,
Two
all in favor kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll cut it off too.
It can be very brief, because that was, the attorney had mentioned that.
Yes,
Do we need to vote on him
Yeah,
being
we
the
need to.
secretary?
We need to.
Yes, okay, so,
So can
I
you
guess,
take that
do we need a
from now
motion?
so that
How do we
we
do
know
this?
the handout from the, do you have notes?
I don't, I just have the video, so I mean, like, I don't know
Oh,
how
I guess
effective
it's
or
okay.
when we want this to take place, because we still have the last meeting.
Okay. Are we voting on me being secretary?
Yes.
But, so do we need like a motion or something?
Okay.
Okay,
Make a
we need a
motion.
motion, please?
I'll make a motion to nominate Brian, who's so graciously volunteered to be our secretary.
And be responsible for minutes.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed? All right, then it
Nobody?
passes.
It's unanimous.
Brian,
Oh, no,
our
we have one.
secretary.
She left.
Well, it's still warm, though.
Yeah, right.
Please include that in the minutes.
You sent it to Joel, right?
Yeah, send them to me.
And then Joel will send them out just like he does with the package and we'll review it and vote on it.
Prior to the next meeting, yeah.
Okay, and there's some sort of like, you know, some sort of format already that we can write it on.
Yeah, I can send you the template I've used in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's with other minutes and we can kind of go from there.
I use a template.
All right, is that it then? Anybody got anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
So motion to adjourn. Okay, second.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
And if nobody's opposed? All right, we're adjourned.
Hi.